thousands of people. Where do we start, Crypto Eyes? Go ahead.
That is definitely my fault. I should have recorded the session. But hey, those who are here, you're very lucky because you get to hear some really good news. So, it's my fault. I apologize.
No, it's okay. It's okay. We're all a team. That's the thing. We all learn together, and we're volunteers, by the way. So everybody who's here listening, we're all volunteers. None of us, like, I'm not paid a single cent, same as Crypto Eyes, and we're spending our weekend just to share the knowledge to everybody. But hey, Jerry, let's get it going. I have a bunch of questions, and Mac was just gonna ask me about core heroes, but I'd like to first ask about you. What made you decide to be a community admin of Sologenic, which also ended up as you being the admin of Corium?
So I don't know. I first came to Sologenic the same as pretty much most people around the time of the airdrop. It was the first major airdrop on XRPL back in December. Oh God, I'm getting confused with years now because of COVID, but I think was it December 2020? Yeah, it was. Whenever that first airdrop was, and I was in obviously starting from like I knew a bit about XRP, a lot about XRP, but not much about XRPL, and I didn't know there was a full ecosystem sitting on top of XRPL, a whole bunch of other tokens, until the solo token popped up as the first one on the big airdrop. So I started to kind of learn about the DEX, that sort of stuff. I joined the Telegram. I'd be technical enough anyway because my background is in IT and it's also in IT support. So I'm pretty used to helping people out. So I was joining the Discord, first of all, to learn about trust lines and get a bit of info myself. But I was fairly quickly then just, in there actively chatting to other people and answering whatever questions I could. And after a while, I just got asked by one of the other admins if I wanted to be an admin or get some admin privileges. And I said, yeah, sure, why not? And then obviously Corium fed on from that because it was added and it was given out to the same guys that were admins in the solo Discord, just automatically became admins in the Corium Discord. And I have to admit, when it comes to Corium, or kind of more the Cosmos chain in general, I'm definitely still learning. So one interesting thing which I mentioned to Mackenzie when I was chatting this morning is that I actually got a validator up and running just today, would you believe? I was messing about with it all week. I built it and rebuilt it 2 or 3 times to get it right. Because I just had very little experience with Cosmos chain. So this is it's an interesting time for me as well because I'm really starting to learn a lot more about it just this week. So it's pretty cool. And I think Clayton that's here as well, you got yours up and running as well, didn't you?
Clayton?
Well, Clayton, wasn't that Clayton that got...
Yeah, I'm here. I'm sorry, guys. What's up?
I think Jerry mentioned your name. I think you were dabbling onto the testnet and looking at it.
Yeah.
And
yeah, I've been playing around on the testnet stuff. It's pretty cool stuff.
Yeah, it is. It's really interesting at the moment. And what's actually cool is the pace at which the Corium community is growing. 4 days ago, I think we had either 11 or 12 validators live.
Yeah, I literally 32 now.
32 now. I'm just after checking it as well at the same time to see. So in the space of 4 days, we've had, the guts of 20 validators pop up.
Massive, and some of them are massive interest.
Yeah, huge interest. And they're pretty, they're not Mickey Mouse validators either. There's a lot of them that are proper setups. And then you've got, in the Discord just today, one of the guys from NodeX is the name of his crowd. They're a good validator outfit as well. He DM'd me just to ask, how did we get Citadel 1 in there? He was shocked to see that they were there and he was wondering, are they investors or not? So I've been doing a little bit of digging into them because, again, not overly familiar with the Cosmos chain, but they're huge. So there's some really, really big name validators on Corium already, which is brilliant to see. And going back to what Crypto Eyes was saying, that's kind of pushing the enterprise side of it, which is where they're going with it. You know, it is geared so much toward it. Obviously, it's completely there for the decentralized side of things as well, but it's also catering for enterprises with the use of KYC and the AML type stuff, and having ISO 20022 kind of built into it from its foundation. That's really why I'm so bullish on Corium.
Absolutely.
Correct. And Jerry, we have people in the audience now. Of course, we have Crypto Eyes. Do we have any specific question we'd like to ask Jerry? For me, a lot of I guess before you share your question, one thing that I'd like to ask Jerry is in the in the bear market of 2022 and the confusion on the entire crypto community on what Corium is about, you would encounter people that would join the space and join the Discord / your Telegram. How has it been for you throughout the year of 2022?
It's been, I mean, I've enjoyed it, but I've seen both sides of it. I've seen a lot of people come in, you know, complaining about the price of either solo token or core token and saying it's down 70, 80% or whatever, without kind of realizing that so is everything else. You know, pretty much every token out there, and I won't name other tokens, but I hold tokens on other chains as well. They're all down 80 or 90%, and I'm not too bothered by it because it's just, I'm used to it in crypto. But I guess new investors and new people who get into it for, you know, an immediate get rich quick scheme, you know, they're disappointed. But that's not what crypto's about. It's not where blockchain is going. It is absolutely revolutionary technology. But then I've seen the people who've come in and they've made some profit as well. So in general, it's been a mix. What I have seen a lot of is people coming in and joining one or two Twitter spaces I was in as well to kind of attack Solo and attack Corium. I have to keep using Corium now because of the other token with a similar name. You know, who basically are saying it's in competition with XRPL, and why did Sologenic build a new blockchain when XRPL is there, and you know they're going to take business away from XRPL, and that is just absolutely not the case. Corium is built to complement XRPL, to integrate really tightly with it, and to allow the smart contract and now smart token functionality, which is a fairly new thing or a very new thing, that XRPL can actually make use of that, and it just expands the whole ecosystem. And it also will allow it to bridge across to Cosmos as well, which is one of the best ecosystems out there. Like, you know, XRP and XRPL, they have a very specific function, and the blockchain was designed to do that function and does it pretty much better than any other blockchain out there. But Corium just gives a whole new suite of possibilities to what you can do with XRPL, and it opens a lot up to XRPL tokens.
And it's great how you were able to explain it. In your experience, while you try to respond to these, I guess, criticisms that you see inside the Discord, do you see them grasping it and understanding it? Or is it really tough for a new crypto enthusiast to be able to receive the information that it's actually complementary?
So yeah, again, I've seen both sides of it. I've come across some pretty, I don't know how you'd call them, tough guys to deal with, who come in with a certain mindset, and it's purely to attack, not willing to listen, no matter how you try to explain it to them. They just kind of want to FUD core and FUD Sologenic. And then I've come across one or two that have surprised me, and they're names that are fairly well known on the blockchain, but I'm not going to give them here. But in one Twitter space in particular, where I was talking to a guy who was very, very anti-solo and anti-core, And after, sort of 4 or 5 minutes of talking to him, he changed, and it didn't, I doubt he went out and bought any solo or core, but there was definitely a softening in his attitude towards it, which was really good to see. And he definitely grasped it, and others are the same. So I think sometimes the message isn't put out there enough. About that it's not in competition to XRPL, and I don't know why. I think it should be marketed a huge amount more, and I've mentioned it a couple of times, and hopefully it will be. But groups like this, Twitter Spaces like this, and a lot of other little communities out there that are starting to get bigger and bigger and bigger, they're going to get that message across. So it's only a matter of time before people realize it's not the big bad evil.
Absolutely. I know we've talked about the marketing component, and basically, if you look at it, there's new coins that usually would sprout up, just like the other core coin that came out, and all of a sudden you see it with 1.5 million followers. It's making Jerry our work. It's like, are we doing such a bad job in the community that there's only 40,000 followers of the real Corium blockchain? It's meant to be the one of the most revolutionizing blockchains. If we only have 40,000, it's I don't know. I think it's something that I feel will eventually happen, maybe when the right time comes. But then we have Crypto Eyes here. Crypto
Yes.
Eyes, would you like to
I
ask
wanted to,
questions?
I,
Go ahead.
I wanted to add a point to what Jerry just said. With the mindset that a lot of people have in regards to why did Sologenic build its own blockchain, it goes back to the points I mentioned earlier. The XRP Ledger is an amazing ledger. It's great. And from the day it was created, XRP Ledger has always had amazing potential. I will always say that, because when we have new technology emerging, they're only great because of the previous technology that pre-existed before their time. Corium is an update to that. And the reason why I say that is the vision that Sologenic had of tokenizing assets on the ledger has hit so many hurdles, and it's very hard for Sologenic to simply exist on the XRP ledger. And one of the biggest reasons is liquidity. Okay, this function is not yet available on the XRP ledger. So when you're talking about tokenizing trillions of dollars of assets, you need to have liquidity. You need to have a stable coin ecosystem that will enable people to trade. So, for example, USDT, USDC. And the reason why I say that, I have a graph here that shows that between the year 2020 and 2022, the amount of in dollars that was transacted through stablecoin was $6 trillion in 2020, between 2020 and 2022. And that by now it has reached to $7 trillion in 2023. So we're talking about a big volume of money that is existing on the blockchain. However, this money, the same trading pairs that will be utilized into trading like stocks and buying bonds and security, do not exist on the XRP ledger. So the vision that Sologenic has to say, okay, we need to create a blockchain that will be very inclusive, in a sense that we can utilize other ecosystem functionality or tokens, in able to bring everyone together. And that's why we say Corium is a blockchain one for all, pretty much, where everything will exist and everything will be able to interchange that information, the inter-blockchain communication, so to speak. So that is another component. And then you have other aspects where I strongly believe Sologenic vision is much greater when they think of tokenizing, is having its own blockchain goes to show that the vision that they're taking has a bigger purpose than just saying, we exist as a little fraction on the XRP ledger. No, it's to show that it is a big deal. And it is a big deal because when we think of these big institutions, BlackRock, NASDAQ, their vision, all the big institutions, their vision is to tokenize assets around the world. And in order to do that, it's only appropriate for Sologenic to say it's in our best interest and in the best interest of our investors to have a better blockchain that will be able to support all this demand that we're having. So I just wanted to add to that on Jerry's point.
Yeah. I know we have a question from Mackenzie, and Mackenzie was asking about core heroes and your impressive swashbuckling launch of core heroes. Would you like to share more about this project of yours, Jerry, and your team, and how it actually has evolved? Yeah.
Yeah, so the project, I'm like, it's not my project, but yeah, I am involved with it. It's the guys at X Walkers, Ovi and Ash, Crystal Al, the absolute legends. But what it's about is, so the main utility of it is that all the money from the sales of it was used to market buy core. So there was a couple of very big green candles that were from the buy-in of that project. I think they put out a tweet with one or two of them, but it was cool to watch. It was bought, market bought core. It's going to be locked away and staked. So when the airdrop, the snapshot's 24th of March, the airdrop is in 4 equal parts. All of the tokens that are airdropped in, that's actually going to be given back to the holders of the NFTs as rewards. So that's going to be pretty substantial. And then also Core Heroes. So the validator I built was for Core Heroes. So if you're looking at the list of validators online, it shows up there as Core Heroes. So fees from that validator are going to be given back as rewards to both projects that X Walkers have, which is Core Heroes and the X Walkers project itself. I'm not sure the exact split off the top of my head, but you know, it's gone back as rewards to that. So they've really built great utility into both projects.
We have a question from Mac, which is the return. What's the percentage that is given back to the NFT holder?
Off the airdrop?
Yes.
100%.
Oh, 100%. You mean 100% of the rewards? Am I right? That is
100% of the airdrop rewards. So whatever the ratio is, 1 to 1, 1 to 1.1. You know, we don't know what it's going to be, but 100% of those rewards are going back to the holders.
Wow.
They're doing it on a point system. Yeah, I know it's impressive. It's done on a point system. So there's 1,100 of the heroes which are worth 1 point. There's 100 of them which are the OGs. They're worth 2 points, and then there's the villains, which they weren't for sale. They're only for sale in the auction. And actually, directly before this, there was an auction in the X Walkers Discord, and all the villains. I think there was 7 villains sold tonight, but they're also worth 2 points. So there's only going to be 50 villains. They're really cool looking NFTs. I don't know if you've seen them around Twitter, but the art on them is amazing, and they carry 2 points on the rich list. So there'll be very good rewards for them as well. And there was huge interest in those.
Wow. I'm really, you're giving me a lot of goosebumps, because when your team launched it together with Ovi, Ash, and all the rest, I didn't know about that component on the NFTs where the rewards are given back to the holders. But that is quite amazing that you were able to. The results have been incredible, right? Is it all sold out now?
It's sold out. Apart from there's some villains left to be auctioned, and Ovi does auction them every Saturday in the Discord. But yeah, the 1,200 heroes is fully sold out, and it's sold out like quicker than definitely quicker than I was expecting. I don't know, was it quicker than Ovi and the guys were expecting, because they're just used to doing this sort of stuff. They're old hands at it at this stage. But yeah, the project sold out really quickly, and the main reason it sold out so quickly was people saw the vision of the utility. What actually happened was other NFT projects that are also given rewards to their holders, they bulk bought some of them as a utility, so that the feed from that, the money they're going to take back from that, they're going to give to their holders as rewards as well. So it's pretty cool the way it worked out.
Are you going to be at the mainnet party on March 24th, Jerry?
I don't know. I would absolutely love to go, but I was at the Vegas one, I was at the London one, and it's hard to keep getting time off my day job and also family life as well to do so much traveling. So I'm still thinking about it, and nobody's guaranteed a ticket. Obviously, there's only a certain amount of them for the OG holders. I may, if I get one, it's definitely going to sway me, but I can't guarantee it yet. But I would love to go, and fair play to anybody that does go. I think it's going to be an amazing event.
Great. Oh, Crypto Eyes, do you have more questions to Jerry?
I do have a question, but first of all, I just want to thank Jerry for always being truthful and being honest in this space, because that's something that we see lacking especially in the Twitter communities, where, as you mentioned before, so many people try to downplay Solo, downplay Corium, and we have this animosity going on between different people in different communities. And it's good to have you on board, because we see that you're always true to what you believe, and you don't promote FAD, you don't promote negativity. You really are a source of good information and good encouragement. So I thank you for that. This is from me personally. And as we continue to grow as a community, I want people in the core council to understand that Corium is bigger than what we think. NFTs projects are here, and the people that are building those NFTs projects are people like Jerry. So please follow Jerry, and you can learn more about NFTs if you follow his tweets and what the NFT has to offer. So I wanted to ask Jerry, why do you continue to be bullish on Corium despite all the fact that you see? What vision do you see, let's say, for example, 2 years from now? Where do you see Corium and Sologenic?
Yeah, so to be honest, it's really hard not to be bullish on Corium. The possibilities are literally limitless with it. One of the reasons that I got into XRP in the first place was the reason that a whole bunch of the other communities, the Bitcoin maxis, the Ethereum maxis, didn't like it, which was the fact that, it was deemed by some as a banker's coin. Now, love the banks or hate the banks, and most of us, including me, hate the banks, but they are a necessary evil, and they are always going to exist. They have their role in society, whether you want them to have or not. I hope that role gets changed very dramatically over the coming years, but they're there to stay, and all sorts of financial institutions are there to stay. The world just couldn't function without them. And Ripple were going after that market. Corium are doing it in a very unique and clever way, in that they're going to fully support both markets. They've got their enterprise side, which has the KYC built in, the AML, but the KYC is also very much anti-decentralization. So they have the other side of it, which is the fully decentralized part. Now, it runs on the same blockchain, but you can have your wallet that you never have to do any KYC for. So that part is what I really like about Corium. But then just, the speed. Okay, when you talk about the 7,000 TPS, I honestly don't think speed is as big a factor as some make it out to be, because when you get to a certain level of speed, it doesn't really matter anymore. Bitcoin and Ethereum, they're below 20 TPS, so they're negligible. So there's the speed as well. It's I don't know. There's just so much to be excited about with Corium. The way that they're doing stuff, the smart contracts, the smart tokens, which is, I never heard of it before, and I think it is a new thing that they come up with. And it just has so much potential. And at the moment, wave 2 of the grants are out there. So the Coreum Foundation are giving grants to developers that come up with unique and clever ways of using smart tokens. So what's going to be happening now, because there's funding available, you're going to have really clever people that have already done dApps on other blockchains coming on to Corium thinking, okay, how can we make something new and clever to make use of this smart token functionality? And I'm just so excited to see what actually starts to pop up from these guys. And there's a lot of clever people in the space. So I have no doubt that we're going to see some really cool functionality over the next, weeks or months. It's going to be pretty quick.
Wow.
Absolutely.
In your experience in this space, I would be surprised if the implementation will be done within 3-6 months. But then if these developers who have a proven track record do apply and send in their applications to build it, probably if it's a technology that has already been built, they wouldn't need to actually reinvent the wheel, right?
Well, exactly. So that's why I'm saying it's going to be quicker than we think. A lot of these guys have already stuff developed on Cosmos chain. So, it's wrote in Golang, Rust, the languages that are there for smart contracts and smart tokens on Corium. They've already got dApps wrote in that. So it's only a matter of minor conversions and tweaks for them. And now, because smart tokens are available as well as the smart contracts, they can expand what they can do with them. So you're probably going to get, version 2.0 of an app that they've already developed a year or so ago on one of the other Cosmos platforms out there. So it's definitely interesting. I think they will come quicker than people are expecting. And especially when they're going to be very well funded from Corium. There's no doubt about it. So it's going to be it's a really interesting time coming up. Like it's in Corium Foundation's interest to get the best minds working on it and the best devs working on it, and that's what they're pushing for. And I think they've kind of proven that with the drive that they've done lately, and the testnet going live a few days ago is just huge, because it's already opened up there for people to go in and start playing about with it and seeing how validators work and seeing what you can actually do with these tokens.
That's very good to hear.
What particular use case, Jerry, do you see that's quite interesting, at least in your, something that excites you, that can be built through Corium, or at least smart tokens?
So for smart tokens, I actually don't know. The concept of them is pure genius, but it's to the point that, I haven't thought yet. I haven't fully sat down and thought, okay, what can I actually use these for? The possibilities are endless, but I haven't thought of anything. The idea of blockchain is you come up with a blockchain and you design something to solve a particular problem, and it's all about finding what problem needs to be solved. I haven't thought about it, and between my normal work life and everything that's going on at the moment, I'm just kind of crazy busy and haven't had the time to sit down in an evening and just think through it. But what I am is, I know there's huge possibilities, and I'm really excited to see what others come up with. I'm not a dev. I mess about with stuff, but I'm definitely not a developer. But I'm quite happy to sit back and let those guys at it and think. And I have no doubt that somebody will come up with something very unique that will be groundbreaking.
Yeah, I believe so too. I believe that this is what is going to, it's shape shifting the technology, the blockchain, the way it was built. Now it's really the most creative developers that can have a mix of not just their technical knowledge but also their ability to apply it and imagine how business would work in the future. So if you're able to build these dApps and be able to do it in the Corium blockchain, that can actually scale immensely in the long run. I feel like we're at the age of like the transition point from Web 2. You know, in the early days, you had many of these projects that came about, like these pets.com, etc. But then eventually, you had the big players that were able to win the game in the end. So now I think the difference now is I see many winners that will emerge, and those who are early, like those who are applying now for the grants, probably a number of them will actually succeed and be able to come up with the best use cases. Yeah, I'm really excited, Jerry.
Yeah, me too. Now, there's a lot of there's a lot of stuff you could name straight away that can be done on Corium, but not until regulation comes into place. So, but that's the same on every blockchain. It's a lot of the limitations that's there at the moment. Until world governments cop on and start to realize that blockchain is here to stay and can be used for so many things and actually regulate accordingly, there's a lot of the functionality that will be limited. It's the same as what's going on with the SEC versus Ripple at the moment. It's, the regulation just has to happen. The US is fallen way behind regulation through enforcement, whereas you have, the likes of Dubai, Saudi Arabia, areas like that are very much pro crypto. The UK seems to be getting it a bit more now and trying to open up as a crypto friendly space. And I'm sure there's lots of other countries that I've missed that are getting there at a fairly rapid pace. And hopefully that regulation starts to come. And then you can actually see some really good use cases on the blockchain. There's just so much it can do, particularly with NFTs. Like, there's absolutely no reason. Crypto-wise, you mentioned you're a nurse. I don't know what it's like in Australia, but I know in Ireland, like, we have such a disjointed medical information system. Each doctor has their own little bit of patient information, and it's not really properly shared between each other. So you have somebody going in to see one specialist with a problem who the specialist has no clue that they're seeing another specialist for a different problem that may, that may impact it. If that's on the blockchain, it can be an NFT based record or whatever. It's a record for that patient that he can give all of his doctors access to via smart contract or whatever the case may be. And they've got a single source of accurate information. And that's not just, I'm just using the medical thing as an example because you mentioned you were a nurse. It's there for everything. It's the same for, a digital passport, an online identity that's actually a proper online identity. There's so many use cases for it. But again, until regulation catches up, it's not going to happen.
And also, that is a very good point. And the vision that you're seeing is the reason last week, Australian government drafted a regulation plan on how we are going to utilize cryptocurrency in Australia. We're literally taking crypto and blockchain technology very seriously. And because of this level of technological advancement that we can see that blockchain is bringing, as far as information goes, nothing can transfer information as fast as a blockchain technology. So for that reason, when it comes to medical record, I'm thinking of when it comes to information just for like smart devices, like smart cars. We're going electric, whether you like it or not. Electric cars are booming everywhere. All those all this new innovation, they require a network that will be able to push this information to a very fast speed. And that's why blockchain technology is really taking over the world for this reason. And regulation is very important because, again, it creates a corridor for institutions to feel comfortable about investing in projects that they feel like will have an impact. So you definitely made a good point there.
We also have Ovi here. Ovi, we were just talking about Core Heroes, and
How you doing,
I
Albert?
think Core Heroes has done a fantastic job. I heard you're sold out, and it's doing so well. But would you like to share any news to the audience here?
Yeah, sure, Albert. Thank you very much. Appreciate you, Albert, and everyone from the Core Council and everyone on speaking tonight, guys. You guys are been absolutely great in the last few weeks and months with these spaces. Thanks to you guys. I mean, I always say it, transparency is key, and it's through these spaces where, you know, transparency really comes up, giving everyone a space to talk, to discuss their ideas. Just to touch base, I've just literally just finished my auction, guys. I've been running my auction for the last 3 hours. We started at 9 p.m. UK time, finished 5 minutes ago. We absolutely smashed our auction. We had Core Heroes collabs with Stern Owls, and we had Core Heroes collab with XB Army. We done crazy numbers tonight. Turnover in the auction, 25,000 XRP, which is great for Core Heroes because that money goes into Core Heroes, and we use that money to market buy Corium. If anybody doesn't know, Core Heroes, we've built a community project, we've built a community validator. All the money that we raise from NFT sales is gone to market buy Corium. We've been market buying Corium for the last 2 weeks, guys. Core Heroes is fully sold out now. We
Yeah, go ahead. I think your
community validator.
community validator.
Apologies, guys. Phone call. Yeah, so our validator's live on the testnet. We're making big moves on our side. It's the first ever NFT project with Corium utility, guys. Huge. We're going to mint at the end of the month, and we're going to do a random spin to see who gets what. Really excited, guys. This is the first ever project on XRPL that is launched and is literally sold out in 2 weeks. We've done crazy numbers. Really excited. So once again, Albert and everyone at Core Council, thank you for your support. Thank you to the whole blockchain. And yeah, if you don't know who we are and what we do, guys, just click on my Twitter, click on our links on my Twitter, join our Discord and get to know us. We have a huge team. Any questions you have, just jump in our Discord, ask away, guys. Appreciate every single person on this call, guys. Thank you very much for your time. Cheers.
Thank you for coming along.
Thank you.
There, Crypto Eyes. Where do we head now? Like,
There's one thing I did want to mention, because as a Corium Core Council, we want to focus on Corium. And my goal is, when I speak on this platform, is really educate people on what functionalities of the Corium blockchain I feel that makes me bullish every day. And one of the points I wanted to talk about is just smart tokens and how this has the ability to change the world. I'm just going to give you a small, I'll make it brief, just a small rundown on what I think smart tokens can do and how this will actually make the Corium blockchain unmatched when it comes to functionality. According to the white paper, smart tokens are highly customizable, cost-effective, and they create a solution to tokenize complex fungible, which is like NFT, hybrid tokens, and so on. So why is this so great? Every blockchain takes pride in the ability of having smart contracts. Now, we say smart contracts facilitate the transfer of value without having that middleman in there. However, smart contracts on Ethereum or any other blockchain are very much limited to sending value point A to point B or receiving orders and so on. However, when you think of smart tokens alone being able to mint, you can issue, you can freeze, you can burn, you can whitelist, you can blacklist. They have the ability to inter-blockchain communication. This is just the smart tokens alone. And then they have this smart contract integration, which means you can actually program your smart tokens. And why that is crazy bullish is, I'll give you a small scenario. I worked for a charity organization, and that would serve the children back in my younger days. And Serve the Children, what happened is I used to manage a lot of the funds. So when people give donations, some people will give like $100, for example, every month of donation. And they will say, look, I want to help a kid in Africa or in Asia. What people did not know, or people who have good heart and they want to help and make an impact in the world, what they did not know is the cost that we run here as the company, that in every single dollar, we will deduct about $60, 60 cents, which will go to admin fee and the cost of running the charity. So in exchange, only 40 cents we will send overseas to help individual that people want to help. But then when that 40 cents reach overseas, you take again administration fees and so on. So charity really becomes very hard for people to be able to have a big impact. So you could be donating $100 a month, but the person you're trying to help only maybe receive $10. So why did I mention that example? Well, when you have smart tokens, and you have the ability to sponsor a child, and you can write a contract that I want to give $100 to a child in a foreign country. I want to assist this individual, but the contract will only execute when this individual receives that donation that you've sent. Now, as an individual, as a goodwill citizen, I am making an impact. That's why blockchain has the potential to change the world. And that's why when we talk about the economics of blockchains, we're talking about beyond just transactions and speed and having the ability to have NFT, but we're also talking on the global scale what blockchain can do. And Corium Smart Token has the ability to do so much more than just being a pump and dump kind of situation that we see with a lot of tokens that exist on the blockchain. So that's one way of looking at it.
And just to add to that, since we're on the subject on cutting out bureaucracy and corruption in foreign aid, yeah, of course, we know that blockchain can really solve problems with foreign aid, as what Crypto Eye said. Another thing that we'd like to point out is in 2010 in Haiti earthquake, it was one of the deadliest natural disasters ever in recorded history. Somewhere between 100,000 to 300,000 people actually perished there. The government in Haiti actually proved itself a liability in the aftermath. The global community donated more than $500 million to the Red Cross, a known brand, and after investigation, it revealed that a lot of the funds were misspent or went missing altogether. And we know for a fact that blockchain can improve the delivery of foreign aid by eliminating even the middleman who can take the aid before it reaches its destination. Crypto Eyes mentioned that out of, let's say, every $10, probably only $4 goes to the beneficiary. That is actually in some of the reputable charities. It can go to operations, it can go to any sort of like expenses. Some of them are even pocketed. But in some countries where there are no reputable foreign aid organizations, it actually goes worse. This is one example. It has happened so many times in the Philippines, where we had a Typhoon Haiyan in 2013. We probably received billions of dollars, And if you see the rehabilitation efforts, oh my goodness, none of us can even stay in those houses. It's just so ugly. The parts and the materials that they're using are just not sturdy. That means they're doing all these procurement and overpricing, the supply, and a lot of the funds would just go through corruption. Just imagine if we're able to use an immutable ledger of the flow of funds. Blockchain can hold these institutions, even the governments, more accountable for their actions. Imagine if you could track each dollar that you give to Red Cross from its starting point on your smartphone to the person that it benefits. You could park your funds in an escrow, releasing amounts after Cross reaches every milestone, right? So, yeah, back to you, Crypto Eyes.
So yeah, definitely that is the benefit. And I use charity as an example because we are looking at the world. The UN has this vision of creating digital ID for every single person in the world. And the vision that this is trying to create, also Mr. Elon Musk was talking about universal payment or universal income. This can only be available if every single person has a digital ID. So again, there's pros and cons to the debate of digital ID, which I will not go into. However, I can see how this can benefit people in many ways. So one example I can give is this. Let's say in regards to smart token and how this can change the world as far as just being charitable. It's a programmable command that you can set. Now you can put this example, and if there's anyone here building dApps or building application on the Corium blockchain, this is how I want you to think on how it can be applied. So if you have Abner want to send money to Albert, but Albert, I don't want Albert to have all that money because I want Albert to ensure that the money I'm sending only provide food for Albert. So I can create a smart contract with my smart token. I can program it to say, okay, I want to send Albert $100 every month. However, I want that $100 for him to get food at Costco or any branch supermarket. So Albert understand that we have a contract in place. Costco understand that I have a contract with Albert. So what Albert will do is he will go to Costco, and whenever he gets the goods from that supermarket, the contract will execute because a smart token is programmable to do such thing, to execute only when the parties meet the contract agreement set in the coding of the contract. So you can see where that feature alone that Corium will provide will have a massive impact. Again, you come to as far as a lot of people in the world lack the ability to have digital ID, digital identification, or banking. Again, you can see how smart token can benefit people as far as having your personal identification on a blockchain, which you can only share with those people that agree to be in a contract with you. So there is so many aspects of what smart tokens can do. And so far, this feature is only available in Corium. So although people might have different opinions of this and that, Corium is a new technology, but it's a new technology that offers amazing possibilities and amazing features that people, when they listen and when they take a deep dive into the ecosystem, they will see that the potentials are completely endless on what you can do with smart tokens. And that is just one feature of the Corium blockchain. So I don't want to say that Corium is all about smart token, but just that is just one aspect. And that's why we can see the second wave of grantees is mainly focused on people to build application that will utilize the smart token functionality. We want to see how far can creators and developers stretch this amazing technology into benefiting the human world. So back to you, Albert.
Correct. And I have a bunch of insights to share about that. But we have people that joined the speakers panel now, and I want to give them the chance to introduce themselves. And our main resource, of course, is CryptoWise. So if you guys have any questions about Corium, or would like to share anything about anything, because Camel is here in Huddle and Thrive. If you have any questions, first, would love you to introduce yourselves first. Please go ahead, Camel and Huddle and Thrive. Huddle and Thrive?
Oh, hey, my apologies. I thought I was unmuted. Can everybody hear me okay?
Yeah, great.
Awesome.
We can hear you. We
Awesome.
can hear you.
Hey guys, I just want to say thanks for having me on. Wow. I get so overwhelmed with really positive energy when I get on these spaces, because to me, in this moment right now, I have to sometimes take a moment, stop and catch my breath, because we might just be potentially in the midst of the greatest wealth transfer in the history of the world, where the central banks and the financial institutions change their underlying infrastructure to blockchain technology. And something tells me, when I look at the color green, green means go, and green is Corium, and there's no blockchain right now positioned any better than Corium, with the first enterprise grade blockchain. So congratulations to you all. I'm stepping into the spaces a little bit late. I'm here to share my enthusiasm for Corium, but also my enthusiasm for the core council itself. Shout out to Mackenzie, shout out to Josu, shout out to Albert, Christian Go, shout out to Marco, Meathead, Kane Clax. These people are legends. These people are lights in the dark. When people were confused, when they were looking for clarity, there was a group, the core council, that stepped up to show people the way, to show people, look, it's bigger than crypto. This is bigger than crypto. This is about the future of finance. And I'm here to say something. This is quite controversial. People say, you know what? I've had messages. They say, Huddle, you got to calm down, brother. You're talking too much. You're saying a little too many details. When you fear what a man says, the only thing you can do is rip out his tongue. I used to make YouTube videos back in the day. They had to ban my channels. And so this is nothing new to me. And if there's, if this is being recorded or whatever it is, people are going to listen to the replay of these spaces in the future. I think this is an assumption, of course. I can't say this is correct. I can't say this is a guarantee, but something tells me that the blue company Ripple has had a hand in the development, in the investment to the success of Corium blockchain, because they know it's actually going to be a vital piece of core infrastructure for banks to communicate with each other, and ultimately to create the new internet of value. So I'm really excited to actually see. I know we're coming up towards the snapshot date right now. I hope everybody's bags are packed. I hope we see the opportunity at hand. It's like that one Eminem song. This opportunity comes once in a lifetime. Do not miss your chance to blow. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if that's Eminem or not, right? I'm just a Caucasian guy from the suburbs, so I'm not a rapper. But but this is true prosperity. Double your holdings. Everything's on the line. This is a very uncertain market right now. So I know you guys are researchers. So when we're researching about crypto, about like what blockchain's the best, right? We want to look at a blockchain that deals with hyper scalable infrastructure, meaning that the point of Corium blockchain that makes it so unique, so different, so big, is that you actually have the opportunity, if you're an institution, if you're a central bank, if you're an enterprise, to scale without limits, meaning that you can create infinite side chains that can each process 7,000 transactions per second. People hear these things, they hear the facts, they see the facts, but it's bigger than facts. It's bigger than trust. It is about trusting thyself. You have to ask yourself the question, why am I here right now? I could be anywhere in the world. I could be on the beach. I could be at the movie theater. I could be chasing girls, but I'm here on a Saturday night talking about Coreum blockchain. if you believe in a creator, the creator does not make mistakes. You're here for a reason. I'm getting fired up. I don't want to take up the mic too long, and I have things to add. But I love you all. I can't wait to give everybody a big hug. I can't wait to share a pina colada with some of you guys. Shout out to Camel. Shout out to everybody, guys. Thanks for having me on. I'm gonna give the mic over.
Yeah, and if you have any questions to Crypto Eyes, you're raising the energy here. Like, I was kind of like muted and quiet, but when you went on stage, you were lighting it up and rapping. But that's the energy that James brings, and James is a good soul. He's really fully bullish on Corium, and we have all sorts of people here. We want this space to also be educational, and Crypto Eyes and myself, we've been doing a lot of research. We needed a 1 liter of mix of green tea, matcha, and coffee to wake us up. But we're happy that you guys are here listening on a weekend, Saturday evening. I wanted to touch on, basically, we did talk about the smart tokens and basically the personal avatar. And I wanted to share, if you look at some of the data from the United Nations, we're looking at over uh, 1 billion people that are still undocumented. They don't have enough of an information that is credible, and that makes them excluded in the entire ecosystem. And I think this is precisely why the UNICEF has been moving towards innovations, because they want people to be included. And yeah, I think that is the step in the right direction. If you look at some of the data throughout history, each new form of media has enabled mankind to transcend time, space, and mortality. That there we say the in divine ability inevitably raises an existential question on identity. Who are we? What does it mean to be human? All of that is about identity. Marshall McLuhan once observed the medium becomes the message over time. People shape and are shaped by media. Our brains adapt, our institutions adapt, society adapts. And today, if you look at it, you need an organization with endowed rights, basically, to provide you with an identity like a bank card, a frequent flyer card, or a credit card. Your parents gave you the name. A state licensed midwife who delivered took your footprint and vouched vouched for your weight and length. And both parties attested to what? The time, the date that you were born, etc. But how come there are people that are still excluded? They can record a certificate on the blockchain and link that birth announcements in the college fund to it. Friends and family can contribute what? Bitcoin, Corium, whatever blockchain, whatever crypto asset to your higher education. There, your data will flow. And that's what we're seeing. I think people are underestimating the power of blockchain technology. In the early days of the internet, you are your projects. What he means, what it means is actually, you know, that corporate affiliations and job titles, will no longer define us. And I think that should be the case in the future. This is fascinating. A lot of the mindsets would change in the future, and I think these soul-bound tokens will be beneficial for the progress of humanity, the progress of how everything in the world of business and identification would change. But Crypto Eyes, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you very much. So we're happy to take questions from anyone in the audience in regards to Corium. So if you have any questions, if you don't want to speak, you can drop a message directly to, you can DM me or Albert or any of our speakers, including Canclax. You can DM him in any question that you have. So I would like to shift gear a little bit
Go
and
ahead.
and just talk more about the decentralization. So I'm sure you've had this come across many times. There was a recent interview of Bob Ross talking about the importance of the world being decentralized. And this is a term we hear so broadly. Why is decentralization very important? Sorry, I'll drink some water. And it comes down to having to put the power of a blockchain to the people instead of institution. And the reason of that is because we see a lot of corruption. And I can name a few: FTX collapse, Nexus, Celsius. We saw a lot of human error when it comes to have big institution having all this power over investors. And the ACC in America, which is designed to protect investors, well, they're doing a terrible job at it. So that means decentralization is more appealing to the investors now, because the power of the blockchain is given to the people. So, and Corium is no exception to that. Corium is a decentralized ecosystem, and it will have a decentralized exchange. So what does that mean for you as an individual? Well, it means for every new program, or what's the right word, for every new consensus that is going to be released on the chain, the people will get to vote on that new mechanism before it's implemented. And you can participate in voting by staking your Corium, and you can stake with whoever you want. If you look at the website now, you will see all the active validators that are running the testnet, and that will give you the power to do vote on what consensus mechanism are being implemented on the Corium blockchain. So you have a voice, and as an individual, you have power to make big impact. And it's in spaces like this where we get to talk and discuss new things that are being built on a decentralized exchange. And by participating in this type of activities, you're actually making a difference to the ecosystem yourself, because you can listen to different ideas, pros and cons, and you can see where you will lean with your voting when it comes to keeping the decentralization really decentralized. So that's one point I wanted to mention. And that is very important, because when we start talking about a big volume of money flowing into the Corium ecosystem, you will start to see that it's human nature for people to think like, oh yeah, maybe Bob Ross is taking all the money, all this. No, all the transactions are transparent on a blockchain. Every big number that you will see go through a blockchain, let's say if there's a transaction of $50 million you will be able to see that, and you will see which wallet it's going through. And you can say, hey, I want to know who the wallet holder for that transaction is and who is sending or receiving this money. Transparency will be there, because that's the beauty of blockchain. And that gives us that hope and peace of mind, knowing that Corium has this amazing capability. So keep that in mind. And also, another importance of being a decentralized exchange is the ability to stake and earn rewards. So one of the points I wanted to mention, because when we're talking about the economics of the world and how we think Corium will change the world, I want to give you a quick scenario. So far, Get.io and Corium itself, many validators, we know that the staking APR for Corium varies between 40, 20%, and so on. The number is not official yet. We will know that after the mainnet launch. However, if you are a person in a third world country or a developing country, and let's say, for example, you have $1,000, and you have that $1,000 in a bank, it does you no good because the banks will only offer you 2 or 3% return on your income, on your funds. However, having a decentralized exchange which enables you to stake your Corium, receive rewards on a daily basis of a 40% APR, that makes a big difference to someone who is struggling. Again, when you think of the economic side, Corium here will actually benefit a lot of people who are unbanked or don't have the opportunity to trade in their own country. Another benefit of it being decentralized is the fact that we're talking about asset management and tokenization. There are people in developed nations that don't have access to Wall Street like you and I do. So for them to be able to buy stock or any asset, it's almost impossible for them to do so. Being on a decentralized exchange gives every single person equal opportunity to do just that. And this means a lot because when it comes down to generational wealth that they can pass to their children, wealth that they can use to invest to buy properties in their own country, to build themselves up, to build their own businesses, we are providing them with the same equal opportunity with decentralization and tokenization. So,
which is something that I also want to touch on now, which is the aspect on the reinventing financial services. But yeah, carry on.
So I don't want us to always brush this word or decentralized. No, we have to think of the possibilities and what it offers to people. And even for us here, like I personally use Cosmos Station. It's not a secret. And I stake some of my other different assets on Cosmos Station. And some of them I have an APR of 50, some I have an APR of 100%. And what I do mostly, because these projects have a high interest, I take that benefit and I buy Corium. So you may think I'm crazy, but yeah. So I use that to build my Corium bag. I take that APR, convert it, that, and buy more Corium. So even though I don't promote those projects as much, but they create a stream of income that enables me to build my Corium bag continuously for as long as that API is offered to me. Now, that is an option a lot of people in Africa, for example, don't know about. People in Asian countries, they don't know about this option. And the more we talk about these things, the more we talk about the benefits that Corium will give people, especially for everyone in this group. We are very early into Corium. I believe the API will start at 40% based on the previous announcement. That is a number that if you do some math, you can see, depending on how much Corium will hold, it's actually a very lucrative investment that you can think of. That's all I talk about when it comes to the potential of Corium. I don't say Corium will reach $1 million or $10,000. I don't fantasize in that la la land, but I think of what the technology is offering as far as investment point of view. Yes, staking does give benefits. And then the more you stake, I mentioned there's a lending platform coming into the Corium ecosystem. It's built into the Corium blockchain where you can lend, you can actually get USD or USDT. So far, I know for a fact that we're going to have stably USD, which is a stable coin, and you can transfer value of whatever interest you earn into a stable coin. And from there on, the possibilities are completely endless because a stablecoin is backed 1-to-1 to US dollars. So the platform is providing people with absolutely amazing opportunities. And being able to move these funds from one blockchain, from Corium to other blockchain, because again, decentralized exchange is built on the IBC, which is the inter-blockchain communication, and the interoperability of the Corium blockchain, which means you can move your funds from one blockchain to another blockchain, which just makes it amazing. No other blockchain has these functions or this ability. And That is the reason why I want you to always be bullish about Corium. It's not simply because we think green means go, but because green means go with utility, and utility that have impact, and utility that will change the world. Back to you, Albert.
Yeah, now we talk about the meat of the discussion points today. And yeah, I'm kind of excited to talk about reinventing financial services. I came from the Philippines. A lot of people are unbanked or underbanked. We have all sorts of issues. I was in a meeting with the president of the fourth biggest bank less than 2 weeks ago, and I mentioned it to him. And it was a sit down dinner with CEOs, and I basically asked him the question if the poorest people, every time we send and pay from one bank to another, we're charged 50 cents, basically 25 pesos, which is around 60 cents, for whatever the amount is. So even if it's a micro payment, we are charged. And the bank actually apparently can make it free because the systems that were already created, so they can make it even just 1 peso or even free, but they still had to charge people. If you're withdrawing an amount from a branch, from your bank, but you do it in another branch of account, they charge you $2 to withdraw. There's a minimum maintaining balance of $200, which is a lot for the average Filipino. And that's the reason why I see that the times are changing. And as I spoke to that CEO, he admitted to me, Albert, he said that you're actually right. We understand this. And this is actually a way for many banks to keep hold of their power because they know that their time is running out. The central banks are pushing them to be less greedy, and to push them to actually improve their systems, their core infrastructures in place so that it can usher in a level playing field for everyone. And as I spoke to him, he did mention to me a couple of projects that they're actually doing with the central banks. He is not in full picture of everything. In fact, he was so excited to be chatting with me without me mentioning Corium. I wanted to check his knowledge of it. And based on what I'm seeing, a lot of the CEOs in banks are just focusing on, they're basically very myopic in their view because they're focused on loans, keeping their foothold on high net worth individuals. It's basically the loans business that are keeping their business alive. They're closing branches left and right. And this is a big bank with hundreds of branches, and they're closing a lot of them in the next year or two. So they know that it takes 17 million pesos to open up a branch, and it takes years to actually be able to recover it. So they know that they have to work with fintechs or move towards a different use case because the dominance, he feels bad because he feels that a lot of their employees are going to lose their jobs. So the reason why I'm saying this to everybody is that this kind of space that we have here it's meant for us to talk about not just the past but also the potential for the future and the people that will leave, that will be left out, right? That's why we titled this as core economics, because if you look at the economics, a lot of them may actually lose their jobs, which is sad. And if you're not ahead of the curve and if you don't plan ahead, even as an individual, you might get stuck in your old ways, and the future is actually bright. You just need to be able to see it and not be distracted. So, just to share with everybody, the global financial system moves trillions of dollars daily. Billions of people, it serves billions of people and supports the global economy worth more than $100 trillion, and it's the world's most powerful industry. But if you look at it, new technology has been welded onto aging infrastructure. We call that helter skelter. I talked to these bank CEOs and technology CIOs. They know that their systems are aging, and the thing is that they're trying to build new technology onto it. And I asked that CEO the question, like, aren't you using new distributed ledger technologies to fix your core systems on your online banking? I'm telling you, there are many people that get hacked every day, and some of them have to even beg the banks to return the money that they actually own. There's no insurance for them, and sometimes they would just label it as, oh, it's your fault because you clicked on this link or that link. But apparently, when I spoke to the bank CEO, he said that their security systems and anti-hacking, they spent millions of dollars to be able to scheme the whole internet and remove all these fictitious sites. Imagine if we're able to transition to new blockchain technology, then a lot of these incidents can actually be removed, right? Another thing I'd like to point out is that the different rails that actually have to happen if you're using their credit card. Just consider this. Consider the bank offering internet banking but still issuing paper checks, running mainframe computers in the 70s and 80s, when one of let's say in Starbucks, when one of its customers taps a credit card on a state of the art reader to buy a grande latte, her money passes through no fewer than five different intermediaries before it reaches the bank account of that Starbucks branch. That transaction actually takes seconds to clear, but it actually takes days to settle. And in a more related point there, if we're going to talk about basically the tokenization of the stock market, crypto wise, what I like about this is that even even this not just JP Morgan but Nasdaq themselves know that blockchain technology. So Bob Griefeld, he is the CEO of Nasdaq. He actually believes in it. He's very enthusiastic about tokenization. That he actually says that he's a big believer in the ability of blockchain technology to affect the fundamental change in the infrastructure of the financial services industry. And he is actually integrating the blockchain's distributed ledger technology into Nasdaq's private markets platform through, they call it the Nasdaq LintQ. But I know Bob knows this LintQ team, and they're working on this actually as we speak. Exchanges are centralized marketplaces for securities, and they are also ripe for disruption. And we see that. And I think their main concern is actually the how do we actually make this a level playing field where in some countries where internet is slower, they're still able to provide the services and in an equitable way. But these are some points that I'd like to share to the audience. So, our session today with Crypto Eyes, we're not shilling the coin. So we're not going to attract a lot of these maxis. But our point is we don't care if there's 40 people, 50 people. We're here to just educate you so that you're just like listening to a podcast with me and Crypto Eyes talking and sharing what we know. And we want people to be educated about blockchain technology. And yeah, would you like to add anything crypto wise? And
Absolutely.
go ahead.
So that is very important what you just said, really, because education is everything, and a lot of people are not educated about the blockchain world. And for those reasons, they miss out on the opportunities that the blockchain technology offers to them. And I keep saying this to everyone who invests in Corium. Please, even if you read my tweet from my personal account or Albert's, we don't get paid to say anything about Corium. We don't have a contract, we don't have anything. We are investors just like yourself who have a great passion about this blockchain. We've studied the blockchain, we've studied the white paper, we've looked at the technology and how it will impact our society. And we try to share that news with like-minded people. You know, I will not criticize anything bad about any blockchain. And despite that fact alone, even though I'm bullish about Corium, I had a chat with Albert yesterday and all the core council members, and we were talking about different cryptocurrencies that we all hold. You know, it does not mean we are not maxis as well, where we think, oh yeah, only this or only that. If you do this, no, we don't. Everybody has a choice to make, and everybody has their own investment pathway. And please educate yourself on everything before you get involved into even Corium. And it's these spaces that we host that we come together with our collective ideas on the things that we research, and we want to share the same information. So we don't fad anybody or we don't criticize. In fact, we welcome everybody here who shares the same level of passion as we do in talking about Corium. So if you are here today, we really thank you because it means a lot um, to listen to us and to listen to the research that we do. Again, all this research is done in our own private time. Sometimes we don't sleep. I didn't sleep yesterday until like midnight or past midnight because I was doing research. All this is because when I bring content to our audience at the Core Council, I want to bring facts. I want everything I say is to be something I can prove and I can show you or direct you to the source of that information. And that's why you will not see me speculate anything that is out of the atmosphere. It has to be speculation based on facts. And that's why I think our community is small, but we don't want a big community that is based on fallacies, fantasies that are not realistic, really, because that it just becomes unnecessary noise. So the few that are here, really, you guys are very much appreciated because you mean a lot to the core council. We will continue to grow, but we want to grow with the same like-minded people. That is very, very important to us as the core council. That's what we talk about, and that's what we really wanted to project to the community.
Exactly. Yeah, I wanted to also chime in on what you just said. That the reason why you look at my energy now, it's very much like we're in a podcast. I can't be speculating about what the price would be and whatnot. I think that's going to be very, very much. Oh, is there some? Uh, you were garbled, crypto eyes.
Nope. Must just chatter in the static noise.
Yeah, sometimes it happens. So, but I hope it wasn't disruptive to everyone. Mackenzie, can you hear me? And Mackenzie, James, can you hear me? Okay, guys. Okay, that's great. You can hear me. So I
Yeah,
was
yeah. My apologies. I can hear you.
okay. Great, great. So the way we're gonna go forward for core council is we'll definitely pick a subject matter every week and focus and dive deep into it. If it's about tokenization of stocks, we'll have sessions about it. If it's about, let's say, soul-bound tokens and putting your identity in the blockchain, we'll share more about it. If it's about, lending, the future of lending or the future of, let's say, property management, they will dive deep into that. Our focus is not to have hundreds and thousands of followers, but if we don't attract the right type of people who who are invested in it long term, we might create more havoc in the long run if our spaces are just about price predictions and just shilling any other aspect of the coin. Because I think we've reached a point, it's 2023 already, everyone, and
Mhm.
yeah, we know what happened in 2022. All of the shilling from 2021 a lot of them actually ended up looking kind of silly in 2022.
Absolutely. Everything was destroyed. And that's the approach when you look at the way Corium development team is taking. You can see clearly. A lot of people are, oh, how come you don't post enough? Because you get information in due course. Okay, you have projects that are promising heaven and earth, and then boom, crash. And we saw that with the new airdrop that we saw happening, but then the project pretty much, it feels like it's dead, you know. And that's another thing I wanted to cover. I received a message from Camel earlier that he was talking about the benefits of having airdrop on the Corium ecosystem. So as you know, the entire Corium tokens were airdropped to Sologenic holders throughout the year of 2022, and we still have a few more airdrops taking place that took place in January and February, and we have another snapshot happening in March, which will result in 4 airdrops. Okay, so keep that in mind as well, because we don't want anyone in here to miss out or say, well, CoCounsel did not inform me about that. So there will be airdrop on if you've missed the previous one, just remember, for every, if you're still holding your Corium, there'll be a snapshot on the 24th, and your first airdrop will be on April 1st. And as new airdrop dates are announced, or as we get near to those airdrops, you will definitely hear from the CoCounsel, and we will inform you about these things. I will either tweet about it, or the CoCounsel will tweet about it, and all the members at the CoCounsel will definitely tweet and retweet it from Corium official. So we will definitely keep you informed when it comes to that. And also, when we talk about airdrops, Corium is a blockchain, so there will be a lot of application that will be built on the Corium ecosystem. You can see already we have about 5 that are already there, but we are not live yet. But there is more grantees being issued grants to build dApps on the Corium ecosystem. And what that means for you as a person who is holding Corium and staking your Corium is when this application becomes available on the Corium blockchain, before they launch, these companies or this institution will airdrop those tokens to the Corium holders, because we are holding the token for the main blockchain. So that's another benefit you can see in the near future that is available for you just for holding your Corium. So you have the staking benefits, you have the airdrop benefits from now and continuously in the future. And also we have the ability to lend and borrow money using stable coins that will be available on the ecosystem. So if you feel like, you're very new, anything you feel in your heart about the Corium ecosystem, we haven't reached the age of Ethereum or any other major blockchain. That's because you're very new, and you should be very happy, you should be very proud, because 2-3 years from now, I strongly believe 2023 is the year for Corium, because there's just so much happening. But 2-3 years from now, when you start to see things progress to a level, astronomical level, you'll be happy that you got involved into Corium. Because again, I say that simply based on the facts that the technology, the smart token, the smart contract, the lending platform, all the points I mentioned earlier, that is what I'm bullish about. That is what will make Corium a greater blockchain. Not the price range, what price that will lead to, that's a story for that day. But for today, invest in Corium, not because of money pretty much, but just invest in the technology. And if money is your vision, you'll be showered with it, because the use cases will definitely translate into that, because it's one of a kind. It's one of a kind. That's the word I can use. It's a one of a kind use case technology blockchain that has no equal when you think of what the possibilities are. So keep in mind, airdrops are still happening. Please participate, set up your trust line. And if you hold assets like XRP, you can still set up your trust line for XCore, and you will receive those XCore token. There is a whole white paper about the XCO token and how it will be distributed. But if you need any of that information, please just DM me about how to set up a trust line on XCO. There's a few good videos on YouTube already. Shout out to like CoinGirl. They've set up a few informative videos on how to create trust line. So please be involved and that will help. And also don't forget about NFTs project. We had so many guys that talked about NFT project. These are Corium related NFTs project. Just by holding those NFT project, you will also be receiving airdrop of core tokens. That is one of the benefits of holding, or the reward is in Corium. So if you want to know about NFTs that have value, that give back, they're not just like some JPEG, Core Heroes NFTs and the entire division, they're creating NFTs that really have utility. So that's what we want to promote. We want to promote things that bring value to the ecosystem and nothing else. So back to you, Albert.
Great. I wanted to touch a little bit more on, you mentioned the word lending. Just a little bit on lending. I guess we'll do some research there, crypto-wise. But the function on lending that we might see is credit card. With regard to credit card debt, mortgages, there's corporate bonds, municipal bonds, government bonds, anything that's asset-backed securities and other forms of credit. We do see a lot of move towards the whole securities markets that can be actually traded and put on smart contracts through Corium. So we know that that can be issued, traded, and settled on the blockchain for sure. It can increase efficiency, it can reduce friction. That's one of the main use cases. It improves systemic risk. Consumers can use reputation to access loans from peers, significant from the world's unbanked, and for the entrepreneurs. So we do see that as a good subject point for us in the future, and that could be on the stakeholders here. You can see are your commercial banks, retail banks, wholesale level, public finance, micro lending, crowdfunding, regulators, everyone. People don't see this as a huge potential because they're still very much trapped in a lot of distractions around that there. I think there's so much hope to be spread out there, and that's why we're doing these spaces, everyone. We're doing these spaces because of, we want to educate, and we want people to wake up. We want people not to be in that trapped, secluded mindset that they're just working every day to find a job and live another day. That's not supposed to be the case. And yeah, I'm really really happy. I look at everything about tokenization. One of it is basically what we're seeing, that if you bear in mind that financial services infrastructures have not evolved in decades, the front end has evolved, but not the back end. And it's been an arms race in technology investment oriented towards speeding up the transaction execution, but also making sure that everything works, within nanoseconds. And not just that, the settlement has to happen, clearing has to happen, and people, I think we're at the middle of it. Maybe the technology has already been built by Corium and Sologenic. We're just waiting for the actual regulations. It's like if they say it's a flip of the switch, it is the flip of the switch. And I see that coming along. Whoever wants to go on stage, and James, do you want to chime in? And Camel, please, please, please. We might be boring the audience if we talk so much about technology, but James, we love your energy, man. We love your
I
energy.
appreciate it, and I want to say also, I was given a shout out when I first came on to talk. I said, shout out to Marco, shout out to everybody else. But shout out to one of the OG members of the Core Council. She doesn't get that much attention. Shout out to Melzy. We love you, girl. Thank you for joining us. Another thing is I want to say this. Somebody asked me a question. They said, what happens? And this is really funny because I think at some point in time, everybody goes through this type of mindset. Somebody asked me, what do we do if this just doesn't work out? I get the technology, I get it's so great, but what if? And when we talk about what if we don't wake up tomorrow? What if the grocery store runs out of food? What if the weather isn't good? We keep on going. What if? This is not some sort of a motivational speech, but I have a mantra every single day. I wake up off the floor because I actually had a king size bed. I had a king size bed, and I had to get rid of my king size bed because I said, right now, I'm not a king. I haven't made my way in the world yet. Why would I be sleeping in a king size, queen size bed if I'm not a king right now? I said, so I'm going to sleep on the floor until I make my own way. So I've been sleeping on the floor, but it's about the mindset. So I say every single day I wake up off the floor, I say I'm the world-class champion, not because I'm being cocky, but because I'm affirming my destiny, because I know what my destiny is. Duh! I could see better with my eyes closed. Can you repeat yourself, people might ask? I said I could see better with my eyes closed. So when someone says, what if it doesn't work out? I say, well, that's a great question. We keep on going. Do you think Michael Jordan, before he became Michael Jordan, was in the gym practicing free throws, wondering, what if in game 7 of the NBA Finals, what if the free throw sinks? No, you practice because practice makes perfect. We're investing in the Corium because what if it actually works? What if it actually is adopted by enterprises? What is a life worth living without risk? What if it doesn't work out? You got to be crazy. I could care less. If it doesn't work out, I understand. It could be a tremendous loss to everybody. But what if you never took the risk to begin with? Could you live with yourself then? This early on. The ability to govern a blockchain, meaning that if this is the core infrastructure like we think it is, a financial institution, central banks, this is going to bring tears to my eyes. You understand? You all are children of the moat. You all are. Excuse me. So I think someone has to mute up.
No, James, can you hear me?
Yes,
Go ahead, CryptoWise. Go ahead, chime in. So
I just wanted to add a point.
there's some muffling that's happening, but go ahead.
Sorry, it's not me. It's actually just Twitter is playing up. It's the space itself. I just wanted to add to a point that James was saying. I didn't mean to cut you short, mate. I just wanted to add to the point where you said, if it doesn't work out. Well, this is one thing you need to know. There are many blockchains that have survived and made a big impact, and they offer less than 10% of what Corium is offering. Okay, so many that have survived. If you compare use cases and technology, you can see that definitely this is why I am convinced that Corium will make it, because of the technology that it offers. That's the big difference. So yeah, it's good to question yourself. It's good to ask those in-depth questions. But again, it comes down to resolve. And I can see you have that resolve, James, where you absolutely believe that this is going to make it. But on my understanding is it's definitely going to make it because of the utilities that the blockchain itself offers. Yeah, so please carry on. I just want to emphasize that point that you're absolutely right in your reasoning. But that's my take on that point. So thanks.
Eyes, I can't begin to tell you. When I hear your voice, I automatically feel like there's very few people. Albert's one of them. Oops, I think it's still.
Yeah, you can mute first. A little bit CryptoWise. Sorry,
Are we good
James.
now?
Sorry, we're getting not. We're not that. It's not that we're getting drunk, but it's like a ghost that we're hearing.
Yeah, it's just playing.
Hey,
I'm not muting anyone.
Whenever you speak, whenever you speak, there's like I don't know what it is, but it's kind of freaky. But
Extra energy comes through.
yeah.
Okay. Yeah, it's funny because it's really crazy because I'll wake up and I walk downstairs to eat breakfast and the lights just start to flicker. It's like when I walk outside, the butterflies just start to come after me. The children are looking at me. The dogs are barking at me. And I'm here to tell you, it's because I'm not some sort of special person, but it's because of the mindset that I carry. If Corium doesn't work out, so I'll go into oil. If oil doesn't work out, I'll go into trade finance. If trade finance doesn't work out, I'll go into real estate. This is a mindset of success. And that's actually the biggest thing I got from Core Council to begin with, is that, you know, when we talk about the greats, the people who were early to an industry, the people who saw vision, and like someone like Jeff Bezos, he was about to do e-commerce at a level that nobody has seen e-commerce at before. People back then wouldn't even know if e-commerce could work out. But somebody has to do it big. Somebody has to change the game forever. And we see a fundamental flaw in the way blockchains are built right now, with the Ethereum virtual machine, with Polkadot, with Solana. We're seeing Harmony One have bridge hacks and issues, and there needs to be a blockchain to come in and solve these issues to give real security. And that's what I see in this. And when I talk about the possibility of failure, the only reason I make a Michael Jordan comparison is because if this does work out, we don't just run and hide and go escape with our wealth. We stand on the front lines. I like to say the Core Council, we're frontline soldiers. We're on the battlefield right now. Every single day we wake up off the floor and we say we're the world-class champions. Not because we're being cocky, but because it's a mindset. So if Jordan didn't succeed in basketball, he would have went to baseball. He did go to baseball. If baseball didn't work out, he would have went to hockey. You see what I'm saying? And so I know I'm being a little funny and comedic right now. I apologize. I'm a little fired up, but
No, we do love it. We actually need that energy because crypto wise, and we overstudied and then we lack sleep, but I really find your energy very infectious, and we love it. We love it, brother.
Who's gonna be the person in this call right now? I know I'm speaking to somebody that has a vision for the next metaverse application that could end up being the next Facebook. Do you understand what first mover advantage means? Do you understand? You understand it means that if you're early to something that's really big and you can see something that other people can't see, you don't just sleep on your laurels. You don't just go to bed, I'm going to buy some coins and relax. No. You start to build. You start to create, you start to strategize, you start to plan in advance. I'm only saying this because I love you guys and I love humanity. I can't just sit here and say, oh, well, I'm going to be rich. That's it. Cool beans. No chance. No chance. See, I want to touch on this because somebody in this crowd needs to hear it. We're multidimensional beings having human experiences. Wealth is temporary, but creating something and drawing your line in the sand lasts, I have to say it, lasts fucking forever. That's eternal. So who's going to come in and build a platform on Corium and gather a team of developers and create a vision for them to say, okay, here's the game plan. Let's figure out how we can build a play-to-earn video game on Corium blockchain that children all over the world, from Africa to Sudan to Italy to Germany, are going to play on our blockchain. And it's going to make little kids cry because they love it so much, and it's going to be nostalgic for them when they log on to play the game in 10 years. This is the first mover advantage. So this is so much bigger than life. This is so much bigger than a crypto. This is a prophecy. I believe we hold David's key. David's key. I want you guys to look into Revelation 3:7 and understand my words right now. They speak of a time where the world was in trouble. The belly of the beast, there was not good times on the planet. There was trials and tribulations, earthquakes, tornadoes, tsunamis, floods. The planet was getting cleaned out and cleansed of the evil, but the anointed children, that not meaning we're special, not meaning we have a spiritual ego, but meaning when we were given the call, we picked up the call. See, everybody's called, but not everybody ends up picking up the call. And
Yeah,
that's what it means.
I wanted to bring I think yeah, the background noise there. I don't know how it's happening just now in the past 20 minutes. Uh, but just to add on to what you said, James, it's funny. Uh, yeah, I think the crypto eyes. Yeah,
So
it's
yeah,
literally.
it's amazing what blockchain will absolutely do, And when we talk about these things, let's focus purely on the use cases and the impact that it's doing, because it's good that you're paying attention to the world, James, and you're paying attention to the things that are taking place. And with every world problem, you need a world-size solution, and it's agreed by the majority now who are developing that blockchain technology will solve a lot of these problems. I was looking at another benefit of what we think about when we think of Corium is, just the services that we are seeing and will be implemented in the Corium blockchain. And this is to add up to the point where you say people will need to build this new metaverse that will revolutionize the world on the blockchain. But I was thinking more of services, because think about it this way. A lot of people don't have, because of many government in third world country being corrupted, a lot of institution, whether it comes to health services, whether it comes to supply chain services, when it comes to food, a lot of people don't trust their own government for these things. So when you have an organization on a blockchain, a supply chain organization, and they're able to deliver because everybody is in sync with the blockchain, everyone is in sync with the information directly from the blockchain, they can see it for themselves. You can see that all this problem that you're talking about in the revelation can come true, like where people can start to see that, you know what, the human solution is not the perfect solution, but it's a solution that will have an impact. And that's why I get excited really to see that it's already been implemented. There is a company called World Food Program, and they're already utilizing this blockchain technology. They utilize it in Syria to help refugees in Jordan, for example, when all these troubles were happening over there. So those are the use cases, in my point of view, that I can clearly say with confidence that people who are looking at building at Corium, especially with the smart token capability, will be amazed by, because they look at this technology will change the world, and that you cannot compare to any other blockchain. I will keep saying that over and over because that is the true fact of Corium. It's every blockchain is built differently. Every blockchain is built with its use cases. But what makes each blockchain unique is the special abilities that they offer. And I'm still trying, and I'm strongly grateful today because Jerry made a very, very good point, and I think this is something I was always maybe didn't think clearly about. And this is when it comes to transactions of a blockchain. Um, yes, Bitcoin and Ethereum, they are very, very less transaction. However, there's still more transaction being done on Ethereum right now than on any other blockchain because of the levels of applications that are built on the Ethereum blockchain. So what that means is it means adoption matters as well. How much people adopt the Corium blockchain will have a big impact. Despite the fact that we have the speed, we need adoption. Despite the fact that we have smart tokens, we need to have them being utilized. And the features in itself will translate into the adoption of the blockchain. So yeah, I'll pass it on to Albert for now. And
Yeah.
Albert, anything you wanted to add in?
Well, I want to talk about like the future of banking that I see based on my discussion with a few banking leaders. Can you go on mute for a bit? Yeah. Okay, so yeah, if you look at the future of blockchain, we're gonna see basically the last holdouts in the financial services and perhaps the largest price to be fundamentally transformed by this Corium technology. Uh, if you look at retail banking, this is to educate people for retail banking. There are three or four things that retail banks do. One is that they provide a place to store value. Second is that they provide some kind of payment utility. Beyond that, they extend credit and provide a place for you to store wealth and generate potential passive income. But within 3 to 5 years, that will actually change everyone. A person will be able to download an app which has the ability to store value digitally in whatever currency they want. It cannot just be through, your bank in the Philippines can actually store not just Philippine peso. It can also store dollars, euro, yen, and any other currency, as well as a digital currency in that app, and be able to make payments instantly or nearly instantly with what? What's the difference? Why is Corium important? Interoperability. Your app will be able to do global interoperability with the highest level of security and be able to ensure that there's no privacy leakage. More importantly, the app and using the app will be free with minimal charge. As the internet transformed information services, the blockchain will transform. I think the blockchain will transform financial services, and it will unlock unimaginable ways of utility. In fact, I think the benefits of it in banking, which is so important now, is instant settlement, global interoperability, high levels of security, and very, very low. Actually, even at no transaction cost, they can do it, actually. And another thing that I'd like to add on this is that aspect on, I think the banking system, if you look at it, that the movement from high risk, low risk, I think if you look at this whole space on banking, I do foresee the staking component that Crypto Ice mentioned. That will be far more than what the average person. Oh, not just the amount of it, but another thing I'd like to say is, if you have like an Apple stock, let's say you have an Apple stock, and that Apple stock is in your wallet, but you need to pay somebody with fiat, then actually with blockchain you'll be able to pay that person in dollars with your Apple stock. So the swapping of different types of assets to currencies would happen, and I think that will happen. It's a race basically. We're in that horse race on whoever will be able to implement this faster. And it's huge. Like, you guys are here listening now. I think you guys will be able to see it. Yeah, you guys will be able to see if Crypto Eyes and I are bullish in the long run, because we see amongst our research of different blockchains, we see Corium as cutting edge. Am I right, Crypto Eyes? Like, I know we've scanned the environment, but go ahead.
Absolutely, I agree with you. And the point that you're touching on right now, it's pretty much the definition of Web3, where you're talking about the decentralized aspect, and you're talking about it being permissionless and so on. And I think in our next Twitter space, we will focus more on that. I want to have an in-depth explanation of what Web3 is and how Corium plays that role in Web3, because by understanding these points, people will be able, because it's a term that we hear very much on the internet. But I think as a space, I would like us to dive into that Web3 and the functionalities of it, just as you mentioned, Albert, because I think that's very important to understand that Corium is also designed with this point in mind. So definitely,
In
that's a good point.
in fact, that's actually something that made me super bullish on Corium. It's not me, shilling the coin. It's me really understanding that this is the heart of Web3. If you look at the verbiage on the white paper, the page on the EGB networks or enterprise grade networks, you can actually see it that most of their use cases are linked to enterprise grade solutions for banking and finance in capital markets, but that is what would fuel liquidity for businesses around the world. So if they have that cornered, or even a percentage of that rolled out in 2023 to 2025, then you're right. Like, we have that vision, or that core vision of 2 3 years from now, what Corium is able to do. I'm looking at it like I see all these bankers, their main issue is interoperability. So just look at it. We always talk about these CBDCs, wholesale CBDCs, but actually, if you look at it, from many of these nations in the ASEAN, Association of Southeast Asian Nations, their goal is to be able to accomplish or achieve interoperability in Southeast Asia using the same core infrastructure that they will use, so that if you're a tourist from Thailand going to the Philippines, you actually can use your wallet in the establishments here, and you don't have to worry of buying and exchanging from basically your money exchange. So that saves you a lot of time and effort. And another point that I'd like to mention is that part on using these apps. Like, imagine a lot of us, we travel overseas and we use our Visa, PayPal, MasterCard. Look at how much is taken off from us. The money passers are actually getting the money from the people. So even the central banks actually recognizes that. I spoke to some of these commercial banks. They kind of hate it, but they need to accept it. That the central banks actually want a fairer game for the average citizen. They're pushing it. And people think that they're enemies, but they're actually not. Maybe the system that they created before incentivized so much the commercial banks to stop. They don't have an incentive to innovate. But now they're pushing them. They're pushing them, and they're basically telling them, you don't have a choice. You have to do it. Here, I foresee in the Philippines, the pilots will be running now for these wholesale CBDCs this year. The results will come very soon, because I spoke to a couple of commercial banks. They're working on these projects with their treasury teams. So you might be able to see these government bonds being tokenized and transacted in, probably Corium. We don't know exactly, but you just need to be able to read between the lines. Everybody who's listening now, like, we wish that this space is recorded, but it's not. But then Crypto Ice and I we're gonna do it more consistently, so that we'll perfect it next time. If you appreciate these types of spaces, none of it is controversial. We never even discuss the other, blockchain that usually gets compared to Corium, because our purpose here is really to get people to be focused on Corium. And I know some of you in the past weeks, you've been following many other projects and blockchains, and you may have sold some of your Corium for another project that may have rug. And I'm teaching you guys to have a longer term vision. If we're the type of crowd and, influencers and thought leaders that are speaking, Crypto Eyes and myself, we always talk about blockchain, we talk about banking and finance, we talk about use cases, we talk about the longer term applications, so that you'll be able to see. Just imagine if you were the earliest ones that invested in Bitcoin, Most 99% who were trading it at the beginning, a lot of them probably would be crying by now because they sold it. They did not. They had a myopic vision of the future. I never trade my Corium. I was just dollar cost averaging. The only thing that that you can refute probably against me and crypto eyes, if let's say Corium does not accomplish what it's set out to do, right? But the signs are already there. Mainnet on March 24, testnet just went live. They have 32 now validators. Many of them are the most reputable validators from the Cosmos, Polkadot ecosystem and Ethereum ecosystem. A lot of them are very much experienced. They're not newbies. They have proven themselves. They have the proven track record. And if you look at it, the companies that have forged their partnerships with Corium are very well vetted. We had an interview with Stably the past several weeks ago. You heard them talk about how their stable coin is back 1 to 1. You have you heard from Bob Ras himself, who joined our space. He basically was giving his heart out in sharing what is going to happen in Corium in the next months. We heard Reza join our space and share his thoughts about the progress on what his team has been working on. We also heard uh, the new the new team, the business development team that's working on the securities markets for Sologenic. Just imagine the people that they're hiring. I mentioned this is because if it's a scam project, where would they get the funds to actually pay all these people who are working tirelessly to launch Corium and Sologenic, which works in tandem, by the way, with the tokenization component. But my advice to you and to those who are listening is that not just for you to zoom out, but for you to have the patience. It's a test of your limits and patience.
And also,
Many
I would
projects, go ahead, go ahead, go ahead.
add on that point is there is more money being put into Sologenic and in Corium than the money being received. Okay, if you look at the first Sologenic airdrop by the Sologenic team, it was over $1 billion that was airdropped. That was the value of all the Sologenic that was airdropped. $1 billion with a B. Okay, now when people think, well, ooh, Sologenic is dodgy, because they have a vision. $1 billion is not even a fraction of what the amount of money this company is planning to deal with. We're talking about tokenizing trillions of dollars. So that news was all over the world about Sologenic being a massive airdrop. And then you have Corium being airdropped. However, at the same time, if you look at how much the market value of Corium is and how much money Corium is giving to developers just to develop on the blockchain itself, we're talking millions of dollars will be given for free to developers. So if you're a developer and you're listening as well, there you go. There's an opportunity to be funded. If you have an amazing project, you will be funded in order to be able to build on Sologenic and on Corium as well. So you have to keep that in mind. Like, why is the company or the dev team of Corium spending multi-million dollars of their money putting it out there to develop this ecosystem? So when you invest, you should always look at that aspect. They're doing the utmost to deliver a system, an ecosystem for you and I. So That's how I think. I don't think just inside the box, I think in the long run, because their vision is really in the long run. And we don't want to make that mistake of selling. We should always be take profit. That's perfectly fine, because remember, this is an investment. Um, if you hear someone, oh yeah, I sold a bit of my bag, there's no animosity there. There shouldn't be. This is an investment. If Corium pumped to $10, for example, and someone say, "Hey, I'm happy to sell half of my bag because I've made enough money," good for you, because you know what? It's an investment. But in the long run, people like myself and Albert, we have a different vision for Corium. We're not just thinking of the price. We're thinking of all the other things that is beyond the price. Yes, we'll be happy with my money, but we'll also be happy to see that this technology that we saw from the beginning, since Corium was still a baby, grow into a technology that is helping in reducing world hunger, for example, help in providing relief when there's a natural disaster around the world, helping in creating financial freedom for people who are being looked down on because of the regional location where they live or where they come from. So these are the vision that we would like to focus on here at the Core Council, and that's why we emphasize this point. We want our community to be based on a group of people that have passion for the what Corium is building. Okay, that is very important to us, because we are here for the long term. We are here to emphasize the importance of this blockchain, and that's what we're promoting here with our own time and our own efforts and our own money, to make sure this message is delivered. That is what Corium is, and that's what it means to us. So, but yeah, invest wisely, learn from other mistakes we've made as early investors. I remember me personally, I wasted a lot of money chasing a lot of meme coins, Safe Moon, and so on. I lost a few thousands of dollars just trying to buy all this, because you know what? I thought this is gonna be the next big thing. But I was, and that was because I listened to a lot of influencers and YouTubers saying this is gonna be Moon. I never took the time myself to really dive deep into the technology itself. And it's because I've made all these little silly mistakes when it comes to investing, is why I'm like, nah, I draw the line in the sand and I'm not going to do that. Every time before I invest into something, I need to be able to provide someone with absolutely irrefutable evidence that what I'm investing in is actually has potential. Okay, I have to be able to convince myself first before I can convince someone else. Not just because it's promised to pump. Like I've never promised anybody, or will never promise anybody, to say Corium will pump to so and so. Nope, that is a wait and see. We will see. But as you see the potential of the technology, where this can end up is just only God knows. But when you do compare with other blockchain and see how they're doing, I'll give an example. Aptos, for example, it pumped really fast. Solana, it pumped really fast. So you can see these technologies, the moment they offered something that is just different from the norm being Ethereum, Bitcoin, adoption takes over very, very quickly. And now with the same level of comparison, Corium is launching 24th of March. This is what they're offering. Now you can just start to vision, where do you think that will lead to as far as adoption, and where will that lead to as far as price appreciation. So that is up to you now to navigate and use your own knowledge and discernment to decide how you're going to invest into the blockchain yourself. So that's how I want people to look at it, not with a narrow-minded or a tunnel vision. No, expand your vision, look at things on different perspective. Don't dump all your money into Corium because we sound bullish. Don't do any of that and say, oh yeah, because Crypto Eyes or Albert said this. But we just want you to take the knowledge that we provide, take the education, do your own research, bring that research to the panel. Let's discuss it. Let's talk about it. And that's how any smart investor would invest. That is my, if I can ever give financial advice, that's my financial advice. Really educate yourself. Yeah, because I think it's a thing we always scared to say, I'm giving financial advice. But as just advice, you can never make any decision without being well informed. And in anything you do, I'm not saying buy Corium, so that would be financial advice. But I'm just saying anything, you need to educate yourself first. And you need to convince yourself first. And then once you have that conviction based on knowledge, then you can make a good financial decision. So yeah. So Albert, back to you.
Correct. I guess we're back. We're down to the last 15-20 minutes of our space. And it's 9:40 my time. If people have any questions, please. Crypto Ice and myself, we just love to talk about the technology and the different use cases. One thing I think could be a possibility in the future, not just for Corium, but I guess the Web3, we can call it like the world wide ledger. I think there's a lot of people that talks about this, that basically having this worldwide ledger that records the transactions and publish the timestamp receipt to a blockchain for many of the transactions that is accepted globally. Um, that can actually be one of the innovations that we see, as opposed to current antiquated systems that are being used that basically is just full of friction and it's adding on to the inconvenience to people. In the future, Crypto Ice, we should talk about fraud and security. I think one of the core advantages of Corium is actually its ability to mitigate these risks in cyber hacks and whatnot. We'll also talk about basically owning your own wallet and what it actually means, and owning your own keys and coin, and what is staking basically. We'll define that for people to understand. And as we move towards the mainnet, I think we want people to have a full grasp of what is staking. In your eyes, you think it's just passive income, but it's actually you participating in the security of the network. We'll also talk about in the future financial inclusion. If you look at it, the economy works best when it works for everyone. That means lowering the barriers of participation. It means creating platforms for distributed capitalism and not just redistributed capitalism. If you look at it, the first era of the internet created many wonders for many people. But as we have pointed out, a majority of the world's population is still very much excluded, not just from the access to technology, but also from access to financial system and economic opportunity. That's what I always tell people. That's why there's this promise on that we're seeing from banking institutions that for decades they keep promising but they never deliver. This technology that we had before, it was working, but then it has reached its maximum point, and now I think we're at that tipping point and transition, and I see that happening over the next 10-20 years. I hope we're still alive at that time. I hope we can still keep ourselves healthy, but I think the next 20-30 years we're going to see way like improvement, and many people will be moved out of poverty. I really see that. Yeah, if you see 2 billion people still without a bank, I mentioned that. We see all of these things that are prohibiting the world from ascending or moving to another level. And I want to touch on that as we get more information from the Corium team. I have heard from them that they just opened the grants for smart tokens. and that would be huge. I think there will be a number of projects that will be built that they're looking at. Uh, I don't know, this one component which is soulbound tokens. It's actually, to be honest, if you're all listening, Web two, the pitfalls of Web two, I believe, is that a lot of our information, especially like Brian B is here listening, he's been very much part of Web 2. A lot of our information, I don't know if you've been hacked at any point. If anyone here has been hacked, can you raise your hands? Because I think I think our data has been sold, used for commercial purposes, and our data was not well kept in any way in Web 2. Web3 will be able to change that. I also want to be able to talk about privacy in the future. I think privacy is important because I do believe that fundamentally there are parts of our data that have to be kept private ourselves, and not run the risk of some government agency scheming through and monitoring us without any court order. So I think, while I believe that there's reasons for them to be able to surveil with a valid court order and whatnot, but it's also scary if all our information are just put out there. So the advantages of blockchain, there's ways for it to be able to be accomplished that is far better than Web 2. What else do I want to talk about? I want to talk about, yeah, I mentioned privacy. I mentioned financial services. We mentioned smart tokens. We mentioned how to reduce poverty in many countries, increase the trust of using blockchain to deliver aid. I, for one, I've done this actually. So those who are listening, I've done this with Cello blockchain for my company, Beam and Go, and we did run projects with JP Morgan to deliver aid to small micro entrepreneurs in the Philippines at the height of the COVID pandemic. And they used my platform to give out aid to the poorest, to these mom and pop shops that use our e-commerce products, and we're able to give $100 each to 3,400 women. And that was a good use case. My problem now is actually dealing with the government, because the government knows that my technology is good and my technology is going to eliminate red tape. They don't want to work with me. They're giving all sorts of excuses. They reach out to me because UNICEF wants, but then after talking to the local governments, they just delay it. And there are so many calamities that hit the Philippines every month, every week. Earthquakes, volcanic eruptions, and monsoons. I'm telling you, like, category 5 is just normal here. Like, every year there's category 4, category 5, and if we use like systems like this to be able to help ensure that the donors are donating it, and the beneficiaries are really receiving it, that's actually going to end a lot of the red tape. Oh, another thing, Crypto Ice, and this is even worse to those who are listening, is that a lot of the donations actually go to fictitious people. They don't even exist. They write these people are the beneficiaries, but they're fake. They're fake. They're not recorded. You don't know whether they're alive or dead. Now you understand why you need to have everything in the blockchain, so you would know whether they're still alive or dead. Because probably millions of them are not real. You go to elections in the US, right? You have these flying votes, mail-in votes, etc. Your registry is not even updated. You there are lots of fake votes, right? You need to be able to use blockchain to actually come out with free and honest elections. And that's
Um,
yeah, go ahead.
and that is why regulation is very slow. Because it's not that the fact that we don't have the technology to fix these issues, it's because the people who are taking advantage of the current financial system, it will not be in their best interest to regulate cryptocurrencies. Because again, the use cases, you could solve voter fraud with blockchain. Just like everybody in here, I believe you have your own address where you store your crypto. Imagine if we were to vote based on that. No one will vote twice. You understand what I'm saying? If we all had unique addresses where we create a platform where no one will vote twice, it's possible. But a lot of people will capitalize on that, on the fact that the system is not utilizing a system that is not flawless like blockchain technology. So a lot of the shady things that you keep mentioning with this institution, they can get away with it. Even if they're charities, they can get away with it. Again, is because no one can hold them accountable, because nobody knows what they're doing. Nobody can see what they're doing. So the more we push the education of blockchain and the importance of it, we really can educate people in understanding that there are more than just cryptocurrency or money aspect of blockchain that exists on the chain, but there's also the value of information, the transfer of information, the security of information, and accountability. Accountability can only exist if there is transparency, and transparency exists when everybody has the ability to see on chain all the activities that every company is doing. Okay, so that is the reason why I always say we have Corium coming forward as a new blockchain, and we have Corium delivering methods in which we can expose this old financial system that is corrupt by utilizing this new technology, the smart tokens, new way of smart contracts. So we need to focus on that aspect. And if you want to get into Corium and you're listening, if you want to, that is where you should focus on. What are they trying to solve? The big picture is the innovation of the technology. So yeah, there you go. Thank you, coin holders. We have very coin holders in the building. Welcome aboard.
Yeah, great to have Coin Holder here. And Coin Holder is the business developer of Corium, and he has done a fascinating job at wooing and luring and basically all these exchanges and validators. If I'm not mistaken, Coin Holder, we went to check the testnet. Is it already 32 validators? Yesterday we saw 27, so that's just incredible. Coinholder just joined the Sologenic team, maybe third quarter last year or fourth quarter last year, closer to September or October. So he's been there just a small period of time, but then he was able to establish the connections with the most reputable validators. We did mention this a while ago, and I said I was super impressed because the value of the blockchain is not necessarily the price that we're seeing it now. They're laying the foundations for the future of finance, banking, lending, metaverse, smart tokens, government relations, the future of foreign aid, the future of economy, and even the future of work, that it unlocks opportunities for enterprises. Banks, as I mentioned now, are saying that they know that they're going to be losing a lot of jobs for people, so they're preparing. They have to be prepared for the future of retail banking, that they can find the right jobs for people and people can be trained. Imagine the educational and school system is so outdated. Like Coin Holder, we need to have a Corium Academy coin holders so that we can actually use that to educate and form partnerships with public and private universities, and do it even at the nonprofit level. Okay, maybe that's where you can hire me. if if the focus is on education and nonprofit work, because that has to be done at the level where we're training these young children to be prepared. Corium, I believe, is not, we're not here for 2 years. We're here for 20, 30, maybe Corium pumps the thousands of dollars when I'm already 55. But then I'll be, they'll be even better for me that we started and did the groundwork. And to those who are listening now, if you have the right skill set, you have the right abilities, like we should think of 10, 20, 30 years from now, and giving back to society. I actually think that coin holder, their team is so small now, and they're accomplishing a lot, but eventually they'll expand in their team and focus. There's so many avenues for them to really build and plan for 10, 15 years. And even Reza said in our spaces before, we have to take it one step at a time, one use case or two use cases at a time. Because while our imagination can prepare for 10 years, 20 years, they know that the incumbents and the old guard will try to slow it down. And there are many, uh, basically, we have to go through a lot of the bureaucracy to be able to navigate through tough waters. And I'm happy here listening to everybody here, because you're the same people that listen to our spaces. And Hamanta, Snowball, we chat a lot. We have Adrian. I find it very funny that you always talk about the Chat GPT and Pigboy. And that's the reason why in our Core Council Discord, I always share articles, research. Lately, it's all been about CBDCs and all that. But when we also have research a little bit more on lending, the future of lending, the soul-bound tokens, and the future of delivering foreign aid to charities. Crypto Ice, like we'll always regroup, and we pledge to do at least 2 sessions every month. But if we have more time, and things get going and we establish the right, we're still learning. We're still learning as a community. We spent days, yes, a whole day yesterday researching, and even today everything seems so perfect, and then internet suddenly stopped and all that, so we had to redo it. But thank goodness we only missed the first 2 minutes, and we were able to redo the space. But it would have been perfect if we would have recorded this. But hey, to consider it a blessing to you guys that you heard the message here. And we'd love you to, if anyone here wants to join Core Council, you can just direct message the Core Council Twitter account, or myself, and any of us like Crypto Eyes, and we'll send you the link, and we'll invite you to our Discord. The reason why we're not shilling, just enter and making everybody enter our Discord, is we also want to protect ourselves, that we're actually luring the people who are in it for the technology, and not there to basically cause a lot of disruption. You see how we do our spaces, everybody. Like sometimes we get invited in other spaces. It's just mad chaos in other spaces. But if whenever Crypto Eyes and myself run the space, we try to keep it very technical and very business focused. And while we won't be able to attract 200 people in our space, but I think we're attracting the right people. And you guys, the onus is on you to share this to people you think would be interested, and just let them follow Core Council Twitter, the Twitter account. Go ahead, Crypto Eyes.
You're absolutely right. The key point I want everyone to always take, as when it comes to investing, it doesn't matter what you invest in. invest in knowledge. That is the first key. I don't know how many times I'm going to emphasize this point. Invest in knowledge, because when you have knowledge about where you're putting your investment, your money, it makes a massive difference. If you come into Corium, if you come into Sologenic, invest in that knowledge first before you invest with your wallet, because we are here, as Albert mentioned, for a long term. We're here to see the development of this ecosystem. We're here to make sure that we can proudly say 5 years, 50 years from now, when Albert turns 50, which is like 2 years from now, and we can say, Albert, yes, you are absolutely right. You made a right decision. However, we're all friends here. We can joke around. We can be at ease. We can be peaceful with one another, and that's what this space is about. We're not here to scream and yell and curse each other out. That's not the intention of our space, and we want to encourage everyone to learn. Really, there is so much information coming for Corium, especially with the mainnet launch. Okay, that is a big deal. Um, and I say it's a big deal because everything that we've been talking about in this space starts to be seen and implemented in real life on a blockchain that is live. So it's not going to be testnet anymore. It's going to be mainnet. So that is a big deal. And everything that is going to be built onwards starts on the 24th of March. So I'm glad you're all here. You've all learned so much, but you take this knowledge next month and you can say, hey, day one, March 25th, I was there before Corium was actually born as a mainnet blockchain. And that is a big deal. So I hope you are all informed, and just keep educating yourself, keep tuning in into these spaces, keep asking questions. If you have any doubt, ask your questions. We don't mind. If we don't know the answer to that question, we will pass it to the people who might have an answer, and we can learn together. Because at the end of the day, is my job here at the Core Council is to provide as much information as I can to educate people, but also to learn from every individual who has value and want to share that value with the rest of the team. So Albert is doing a good job. We have a lot of our members in the Core Council that are very silent, but Albert and I might do all the talking, but there's so much work that goes behind the scene. And this work is done by Mackenzie, it's done by Clayton, that Marco, all of these guys are doing an amazing job behind the scene to make sure that we bring these spaces to you. And I thank them as well, because I know they're listening. Without them, this won't be possible. So although Albert and I are always speaking, but our team everything is done by teamwork, and Albert and I could not have achieved all this by ourselves. So shout out to all the Coreum Council OGs that are in this space that are making this possible. And thank you for everyone who keeps showing up. I will run a poll on the Corium and on my Twitter space, just to gauge what time will be beneficial for a lot of people in our Corium community. So I want us to put that in perspective when we host these Twitter spaces, because we want to engage the right-minded people, and if we can reach them at a time that is suitable for the majority, I think we will lean towards that, because like I mentioned, our key is to educate and inform people. So there'll be a lot of news that will be coming up from the main team, I believe, in regards to snapshots, in regard to airdrops, in regards to new blockchain, new validators that have come on board in the last few hours and days. All that is bullish news, because we can absolutely confirm that there's already more than 32 validators, which means the security of the network is going to be fantastic. So, and all these are things that are happening, and you might not hear about it, but we pay attention every minute to bring you this news that the ecosystem is growing faster than you can think. Back to you, Albert.
Hey, great. Yeah, we're about to end the session today. I was really happy sharing and having people like Ovi and Jerry come on stage and share the progress of their core heroes, and even Jerry sharing what he had to go through in being a community admin for Sologenic and Corium, and the tremendous amount of patience that he needed to display every day. That comes with the territory of us being what we call agents of change, because sometimes running and being a part of this community, it really tests our limits. Sometimes at Crypto Eyes, we were in another space a few days ago. It seemed so chaotic, a complete opposite of our space now, which is the complete peacefulness. Like today, we were able to talk about Corium throughout and never even discuss the other distributed ledger technology. Not a single word. We never even mentioned it. But look at it. How did it all end? We talked about the technology. We talked about the macroeconomic situation. We talked about banking and its pitfalls today and what the future would hold. We talked about NASDAQ and what this NASDAQ CEO mentioned and his bullishness in tokenization component. While the usual person might find this boring because probably they're not the right type of people that should be in it, right? But you guys are. You guys spent 3-4 hours listening to me, Crypto Eyes, and we were rambling around, and you listen throughout. Josu, like I'm saying, like every day, how encouraging and such a team player you are. I'm just happy that you're here throughout the process. Then Hamanta, Coreum Concepts. I hope that we can, have our like private meetings, and we can talk about how we can actually improve core counts. At the end, this is not about me. This is not about crypto wise. We just want to share and give back, and that's why today I never expected a lot of people to join, because it was a what do you call that, football weekend, and people are also watching the UFC. Saturday night seems to be an odd time, but we just felt that let's just do it and test it out. And I'm happy. I'm happy just having you guys always here. I'm really happy. And if we grow organically, we will grow, and we'll help will help make those people in the Corium team proud. Like coin holder is stressed. He's stressed every day, and those guys are really stressed, and with all the work that they're doing. Not I mean they're not just focused on the event. They have different responsibilities. But I know coin holder is super stressed, and he's a great business developer. And even Fabio, probably they're probably sleeping today, because of all the stress in preparing for that big event. And all we need to do is just be a good representation of how do we become business professional, not just jokers out there. Like, I don't want to be known as a joker. Like, we want to be like business professionals to a certain extent. So having all these riddles and all that is fine, but I think the grand scheme of things are we want to be known, core council, as that independent community that provides that voice and commentary on everything about Corium. And every time we get these tweets from Corium and Sologenic, we get so excited to talk about it. We'll come up with, we hope that we'll make it more regular in the coming months, but we'll find a way. What's next for us is where, at least for us to share, and Mackenzie and Marco are really good at this, is basically we're working on launching two things. One is our merchandise and apparel for Core Council, and the other part is also probably also uh, NFT collections. I mean, it's still in the works. And lastly is our basically our podcast. So I'm working it out with Marco. We'll design it, and then we'll probably launch it. Probably by next month, we'll come up with our core council podcast. So I think that way our sessions would be recorded, and you guys can watch it anytime. So there. Any final words, crypto wise, from you?
Yes, so not much to what you just said, but we are very grateful for always having the opportunity to speak up and the opportunity to address. We will not take it for granted that the time, your time, and the effort you put into tuning in into our spaces. So, from the bottom of my heart, I thank you all, and we're here to deliver content. We are here to deliver information. That is our sole purpose, to educate and to learn. So we want to welcome, and if you have friends that you think any of our information will benefit, please feel free to invite them to come and learn and share their experience and share their point of view on what Corium and Sologenic is planning to do. And it does not have to be simply that. Tokenization is a very big topic. It's not going to be limited just to, it's not something when we talk about tokenization just limited to Coreum and Sologenic. Like I mentioned, we have BlackRock talking about it every single day, that they want to tokenize. And it's with all this information that people have, bringing it together, we can see how that will be implemented in the Sologenic and the Corium blockchain as well. So if you think you had value in what we said today, if you found value in anything Albert and I mentioned or the previous speaker, please follow the speakers, and listen to their tweets every day. You'll continue to get value. Albert and I tweet every week, almost every day, about things that we find interesting, or we retweet things that we get from the Sologenic and Corium development team. So if you want to continue receiving this content, please just follow and you will be informed. So with that said, I thank you, Albert. I thank our team at Core Council again, for always doing the utmost work behind the scenes to make this possible. Guys, it takes a lot of time and preparation to host a space like this, because as you can see, we do offer information and we do offer value. So we appreciate you all and we thank you all. And I apologize for not recording the session. That's definitely my fault, but we will not make that mistake again. So definitely tune in next time we have another space. So thank you from me, and thank you.
Thank you, and have a good